Okay, I'd like to call to order a regular meeting of the Watchung Borough Board of Education on June 24th, 2021 at 7 p.m. May we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to a meeting of the Board of Education of the Borough of Watchung. Please be advised that this and all meetings of the board are open to the public and media consistent with the Open Public Meetings Act, and that the advance notice required therein has been provided. This is a regular meeting of the Board of Education of the Borough of Watchung at which formal action may be taken. This meeting is being conducted remotely using communication technology. Instructions for joining the meeting and participating in public comments have been posted on the district website and sent to the Watchung Borough and the Watchung Public Library, as well as to the school community through an email blast. The public will have an opportunity to be heard as shown on the agenda at points in the meeting provided for the public to address the board. Members of the public also have been given the option to submit public comments to the board secretary via email or written letter, no later than 24 hours in advance of the meeting. Individuals submitting comments via email or written letter must state their names and addresses. Recording or photographing other than for private personal use requires the consent of parents/guardians whose children may be included in the image. Can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Buccarelli.
Here.
Mr. Barbella.
Here.
Mrs. Harvey.
Here.
Mrs. Ingracia. Mr. Kraft.
Here.
Mr. McDonald.
Here.
Mrs. Murad.
Here.
Mrs. Posehn.
Here.
Mrs. Scharf.
Here.
8 members currently present.
Okay, can I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved, Michelle.
Second, Kevin McDonald.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Mr. Pepe, can you please read the reason in which we are going into executive session?
Whereas the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-11, permits the Board of Education to meet in closed session to discuss certain matters. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Board of Education adjourns to closed session to discuss specific prospective or current employees, unless all who could be adversely affected request an open session. Further resolved, the minutes of this closed session will be made public when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. This closed session may be followed by an open session where action may be taken.
Okay. So let's move into that and then we'll be back. So make sure you guys exit out of the Zoom. Okay, can I have a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved,
A second?
Second, Amber.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Now we're going to move into board member comments. Are there any comments from the board?
Yeah, I have a comment. I just want to thank our newest board member for going above and beyond the call of duty and joining this board meeting on his honeymoon.
Thanks,
I
Rich.
second that.
I hope,
Crazy, man.
all the best. I hope this doesn't
Wow.
start off on a bad note.
What we do,
Very good, Kevin.
Wife, tell your bride not to be mad at us.
she would
Good
never.
luck, good luck with that, Rich.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Okay, if there are no other comments, we'll move to the superintendent remarks.
Thank you, Mrs. Harvey. Good evening, everyone. First, I want to thank the board, the administrative leadership team, the faculty and staff, students and families, and community members for their ongoing support this year. It was a difficult one to say the least, but given the circumstances, a highly successful one. I'm grateful that we were able to keep the schools open for in-person learning the entire year, and that we were able to improve the model incrementally throughout the year, thanks to everyone's, and I mean everyone's, hard work, flexibility, and commitment. The end of the year celebrations, from the lovely outdoor 8th grade commencement to the 4th grade clap out to the field days, were a terrific closing to the year and gave the students a chance to be honored and actually have some fun after a terribly hard year. Special thank you to WEF for donating pretzels for the students and staff, CPAG for the gift bags for students, and the PTO for their ongoing volunteer assistance with the 8th grade festivities and the lunchtime supervision at Bayberry. Also, a special thank you to the Weldon family for loaning us the concrete barriers for the tent and for the donation of a boulder for the commemorative space at the playground, as well as to the borough for facilitating that support and their assistance all year long. As restrictions continue to be relaxed, we look forward to having a more normal year in 2021-22. We're awaiting guidance from the state. In the meantime, because there's a concern about the variant, we will continue to follow safety protocols recommended by our state and local health officials during our summer programs. We keep everyone informed as the circumstances continue to evolve. Our safe reopening plan that was introduced at the June 10 board meeting has been posted on our website and submitted to the New Jersey Department of Education pursuant to the requirements of the Federal American Rescue Plan grant process. Again, basically the plan summarizes our current health and safety protocols that we had in place at the end of the year and notes that the protocols may be revised based on the evolving federal, state, and local requirements and guidance as we move forward. Last, Principal Kidd and I held the information session on the proposed middle school schedule on Tuesday evening. We are very grateful for the strong participation of parents and community members and appreciate all the feedback offered. And based on that feedback, we will not be moving forward with the AB block schedule, but we'll be looking into ways that we can improve the existing rotating drop schedule for September. It's going to be an ongoing project and we're going to continue to research it throughout the year. Again, thank you and best wishes for the summer. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Toda for her monthly update.
Thank you, Mr. Alexis. Good evening. I too would like to thank the staff, the parents, WEF, the PTO, and CPAG for making the end of the school year extra special for all of our students. Tonight, I have a brief update on our district's extended school year program. A detailed explanation was shared with parents at our recent CPAG meeting. The extended school year program is a program for students who are eligible for special education and related services and who require a continuation of their instructional programs and related services over the summer in order to maintain the skills they have learned during the regular school year. This summer, our program will run from Monday to Thursday, July 6th through August 12th. Students in ESY will participate in related arts classes, as well as social skills and social emotional learning activities with our school psychologist. Our ESY staff will be in on Tuesday, June 29th for a staff training, planning, and preparation day. I'm looking forward to spending the summer with this talented and dedicated group of professionals and seeing them engage our students in learning this summer. I can't wait to see our students and have them back in school on July 6th. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Toto. Now over to Mrs. Fichtner.
Good evening, everybody. We celebrated the end of the year with
enthusiasm. Our last week of school kicked off with an all-school meeting and an amazing performance by our fourth grade band, led by Mrs. Morrison. It was amazing what they were able to accomplish with so many challenges with playing instruments. Students enjoyed end of the year parties with treats, music, games, yearbook signing, and special time on the playground with their classmates. As Mr. Alexis said, our fourth grade clap out was a success, with students getting a special rowdy send off from students, staff, and families. We had cheering, clapping, signs, cowbells, and lots of smiles. So students really even just enjoyed taking pictures with their class and their teacher and celebrating with their families. So we were happy that everybody could join us. Our last day of school, we had a special snack donated by WEF, the Philly pretzels, for students and staff. So thank you, WEF, for that special treat. We are now preparing for our Pursuit of Excellence summer program, which starts July 6th and runs through July 29th, Monday through Thursday, 9 to 12. We look forward to working with students on engaging learning activities in a small group setting. And as everyone has said, thank you to all stakeholders for making this school year a success. I wish you a restful summer. Thank you.
Thanks, Mrs. Fickner. Now, last but not least, Mrs. Kidd, with the Valley View report.
Good evening, everyone. We also had an eventful last week of school at Valley View. The PTO's 8th grade parent committee sponsored activities were a very big success. They included an 8th grade breakfast and yearbook signing event, an end of the year celebration at Forest Lodge, and decorations for our commencement ceremony. CPAG and the PTO committee created gift bags filled with thoughtful items to help our students celebrate their Watchung experience. Our 7th graders were treated with a generous donation of Italian ices on Tuesday the 15th to combat the summer heat. The Watchung Education Foundation provided all of our students and staff tasty hot pretzels on Wednesday the 16th. The students enjoyed them as they signed yearbooks and began to close out the school year in their classes. Our commencement ceremony was held on Wednesday the 16th, and it was a big success. The beautiful weather, well-behaved participants, and memorable speeches made it a very special evening for our graduates and their families. On that note, I would like to again extend congratulations to our graduating class. I know you will find success in your future endeavors. On Thursday, the 17th, students and staff participated in a celebratory clap out recognizing our beloved custodian, Com. We wish him the best in his retirement. He will definitely be missed. And our final day of school was a quiet one. It was on Friday, the 18th. Valley View's Summer Pursuit of Excellence program, like Bayberry's, will begin on July 6th and run through the 30th. We are excited to run both virtual and in-person sessions to support our students in mathematics and language arts. Approximately 30 out of the 100 students invited will participate in the program. Information about our summer reading and grade level classroom supply lists were sent to families before the end of the school year, and it is posted on our website for easy access at any time. During the month of July, our incoming 5th grade families will receive a Welcome to Valley View video tour containing special messages from Valley View students and staff. Thank you to the staff and the students who contributed their time and efforts to the project. It's in the final editing stages, and I'm eager to get it out to families. As we begin our summer, I would just like to extend my gratitude to the Board of Education, our staff, parents, students, and community members who provided us endless support and feedback throughout the year. I would definitely say that we have had a successful year despite all the challenges. So I wish everyone a healthy and rejuvenating summer.
Thanks, Mrs. Kidd. Next on the agenda is the enrollment and the end of the year. Enrollment was 620. That's 16 more than we had on the first day of school. That will do it for this section of the agenda. To the principals and Director of Special Services, thank you for joining us. And if you'd like to enjoy it, maybe the last hour of daylight here on a summer evening, please get a head start on that. Thank you. Thanks, Mrs. Harvey.
Good night.
Thank you. We're going to go to committee reports. Michelle, can you please give the Human Resources Committee report?
Sure. We've got quite a few items on the agenda tonight, as you will see. We have an announcement of a recommendation for a new teacher over at Bayberry. Unfortunately, we also have a resignation over at Valley View. Some of the other items you'll notice on the agenda affect the ESY program for this summer, and participants that will be working through that program. And then we also have proposed personnel for before and after care for this summer. And then some appointments for the child study team for summer 2021 evaluations and pursuit of excellence staff. So most of the agenda tonight for HR will affect students throughout the summer. And then finally, our curriculum writers are on the agenda this evening for revisions or rewrites for the curriculum.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Rich, can you please give the Operations/Finance Committee report?
Sure. We had a meeting on last Thursday, and we discussed a few things. First was the truck and plow purchase. Now, there is an update on this, which will come back to us later, that today we received an email from a town council member who apparently has a lot of expertise in trucks and snow plowing. And so we may want to table this matter when it comes up for an agenda, and then reconsider buying a more robust truck and plow combination. So we'll talk about that in the meeting. We had a discussion about Phillips Field fence repairing, which the Operations Committee recommended that we undertake, and we had a security audit follow-up. So the end of year reserves transfer, Mr. Pepe presented information regarding the maintenance reserve and capital reserve levels in several nearby and comparable sized districts according to our request. The reason for this is that we anticipate ending up with a surplus this year of approximately $800,000. And so we wanted to know, with respect to both capital reserves and maintenance reserves, what the metrics are, what the data is for other districts. And Mr. Pepe gave those to us. And I'll just briefly jump out of the agenda and let the board know let the town know what that was, because the board sees a scatter chart. Mr. Pepe did a really good job, I think, of comparing both the capital reserves and the maintenance reserves in various districts that we all thought had relevance to us, which was both districts in our sending district, as well as the sending district itself, and other comparable size budgets. So we did a little bit of look at both. So one, obviously we looked at ourselves, we looked at Watchung Hills Regional High School, we looked at the Warren School District, a lot bigger, looked at Greenbrook, and then we took some comparable size districts with respect to budgets, such as South Bound and Bedminster. The data shows that, excluding Watchung, the average amount of capital reserve is about 16% compared to our 8.87%, so almost twice as much. And the average amount of maintenance reserve is 2.6% compared with our 0. And if we look at numbers that would be approximately, $350,000 of capital reserve if we were to hit the average versus, maintenance reserve, excuse me, if we were to hit the average compared to where we are, which is at 0. And I think that a lot of the board members that have been around for a couple of years remember, at least this crew, our first year on the board, we had a $400,000 mold problem that came out of maintenance reserve. So I don't think that's a crazy number. All right, we will talk about that in the resolution section. Let me just go back to the minutes and we'll close this out. Okay, now I got to find the minutes and having a hard time doing that because I opened them up and then they closed. Adam, what else did we do, or Joe, in that meeting while I'm trying to find the minutes so we don't hold people up?
Spot. I don't know.
Everybody can find it. Sorry about this, folks. I had it open, but I wanted to get a good analysis of the capital and maintenance reserves, curriculum. Where did they go?
Yeah, the other topics we discussed were the next steps with the potential referendum,
Right.
public access to Bayberry Playground, and the staffing agency that's on the agenda.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Rich. So with respect to the next steps, I think we ought to have a discussion with the board about public engagement. There was a clarification that we didn't mention last time in the board meeting because I didn't, quite frankly, believe it. But our architects had said that our preliminary expense eligibility calculation for the referendum projects in the long-range facility plans were final once we sent them into the state. And I had been under the impression, as had everybody else on the operations committee, and we had communicated to the board, we had complete flexibility. And then the architect said that, no, you can only move, pieces or projects around within the dollar amount you submitted. Well, it turns out that is not correct. And it was the way we thought, that we have complete flexibility before we submit our final recommendation. So what's going to happen now is we're going to get a preliminary expense calculation for the projects and which are going to be eligible for the state. And then we are going to look at that and decide whether we're adding or subtracting any projects, submitting the final to the state and getting a final letter back. So that will be what happens. We anticipate getting the preliminary state response very shortly, which is good news. That's all I have.
Okay, thanks, Rich. Jen, can you please give the curriculum committee report?
The curriculum committee met on June 15th. Our main topic of discussion was the Valley View scheduling. And just as a note, and Mr. Alexis, if you could clarify, I have seen it, on the website that it was kind of labeled Valley View 8th grade scheduling. But to clarify for everyone, it is affecting grades 6, 7, and 8, correct?
Yes, it's affecting the Valley View schedule.
Okay, yeah, because when you look at the video on the website, it says Valley View 8th grade scheduling. So just as a note to everyone, it will be affecting grades 6, 7, and 8. At this time, based on
5th grade too, Jen, it's the Valley View schedule, so 5 through 8, and Aaron can change that. He can.
Okay, perfect.
It's on the Valley View website. Thank you.
Perfect. At this time, based on the feedback from the majority of the curriculum committee members and the community from when Principal Kidd and Superintendent Alexis met with the community on Tuesday of this week, the Valley View schedule is a work in progress. The recommendation of the curriculum committee has been and will continue to be that there needs to be more of a balance between language arts and math instructional times. And I know that this video of the community session was sent to all of the board members, and I definitely, when everyone finds the time this weekend, so I know you got it a little bit late, I would recommend you taking a look at it. The administration will continue to explore and investigate with the schedule, but plans on having enhancements made, hopefully by September. And really just on a personal note, I wanted to say that I was just thrilled that so many parents took time out of their schedules to tune in, to give feedback, to participate, to ask questions. I thought it was great. I love that so many people came out. That's it.
Jen, if I could, I just wanted to add something. And after watching the parent information session, I understood that some of the parents are concerned about moving to a block schedule in a middle school environment. And I just wanted to say that, I have seen the benefits of block scheduling on a middle school level if appropriately implemented. Effectively using a block schedule could open up the schedule to more opportunities for students and the staff to collaborate on cross-curricular projects, which would move us to a more project-based learning method. And if we move to a more project-based teaching and learning, this would then build on students' problem-solving abilities, critical thinking, social skills. And I just wanted to recommend that if the district moves towards a project-based learning at some point, and I say at some point because I know someone will probably go back and say the board president just said Valley View is moving to a block schedule, and that is not what I'm saying. But I just want to be clear about that's not what I'm saying, but I just want to recommend that the administration provides parents a breakdown of how each subject could be segmented into parts, whether it be 60 or 90-minute blocks. And I feel that explaining how a class would be broken down and what collaboration would occur could help explain how a teacher should keep all students actively engaged for a more extended class period. So again, I'm not saying that in September, Valley View is moving to a block schedule, but as the administration explores these options, just making sure that the community is informed as much as possible. Okay. Joe, do you have an update for the policy committee?
Nothing on the agenda tonight. As mentioned at the last board meeting, our next policy meeting is in mid-July. We're giving time to the administration to assemble the relevant policies and regulations related to the personal devices for cybersecurity purposes, in consultation with our cybersecurity vendor. So we'll be evaluating those policies and regulations, making amendments and changes as may be warranted by the vendor for added security. So that'll be the next update.
Okay, great. Board liaison reports. Rich, is there anything for the legislative liaison?
No new legislation signed.
Okay, Adam or Amber, any community engagement updates?
Haven't had a meeting, but the Juneteenth celebration at Mobis was fantastic. A lot of fun, good music, dancing, good food. The quilt project, I can't wait to see what the quilt looks like. So it was great. It was a great event. I appreciate that the Watchung Idea Committee put that on.
Yes, I heard, I'm looking forward to seeing how the quilt turned out as well. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it. One of my family friends passed away, so we had to go there. I was really looking forward to looking at the quilt. But I think there's really nothing else to report. Adam said it all.
Okay, great, thanks. Kevin, is there any update from Somerset County Educational Services Commission?
I have no updates for this meeting. Thank you.
Okay. Jessica, Somerset County School Boards Association?
I have no updates either.
Okay, and Amber, anything from the New Jersey School Boards Association?
I have no updates.
Okay, we'll go to community engagement. Mrs. Eisenberg Connecton, is there an update for the PTO?
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Sorry, they kept unmuting me. The PTO is continuing our Food Truck Fridays through the summer. So every Friday, 4 to 8, come join us at Bayberry. This week we'll have Cousin's Maine Lobster, infamous from Shark Tank. And our end of year party is this Saturday at Bayberry from 12 to 4 p.m. So looking forward to a great summer, and I'll see you on Fridays at Bayberry. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Kokiata, is there any update from WEF, or is there anyone on from WEF for an update? Okay, Ms. Newsome, is there a CPAG update, or is there anyone on from CPAG for an update? Okay, and Ms. Williams, is there a Watchung Idea update, or is there anybody on from the Watchung Idea? Okay, so we're going to go to comments from the public for agenda items. We welcome input from the public. There are 2 times during the meeting when the public is invited to speak. The first opportunity to comment on agenda items only is now. The second opportunity for public comment is towards the end of the meeting. Total time allotted for public comment is 30 minutes. Before you make your comment, please state your name and address. In the event it appears the public comment portion of the meeting may exceed 30 minutes, the presiding officer may limit each statement made by a participant to 3 minutes duration. Comments submitted to the board secretary prior to the meeting will be read first. Our public forums are not structured as a question and answer session, but rather are offered as opportunities to share input with the board. In instances where the board feels a response is needed, the presiding officer or superintendent will address the comment. New Jersey statutes do not permit the board to discuss personnel or hiring in public session. Names of students should not be used. So Mr. Pepe, will you please read the statement due to the recording of this meeting?
Members of the public should consider their comments in light of legal rights of those affected and identified in their comments, and be aware that they are personally legally responsible with potential liability for comments that they make to the board. The board shall not be held liable for comments made by members of the public. I do see one hand raised. I've clicked the ask to unmute button. Brooke, if you'd like to speak, please click the button to unmute.
Oh, hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for a fabulous year and for really working so hard to ensure that the children were attending in person. Yeah, I just have a comment, I guess, about an agenda item about the appointment of a third grade teacher. I'd just like to comment, I know it's not like a question and answer forum, but I just noticed that you're appointing a third grade teacher. And, I'm just hoping that it would be in addition to the teachers that you already have for third grade. So I know currently that there's 3 sections of third grade. I don't know if that's hiring a new third grade teacher or if it's replacing a current third grade teacher. But, I'd just like to make a statement. I think, that Watchung needs to invest in more teachers, more teachers for 3rd and 4th grade instead of having 3 sections. I really think that there should be 4 sections of 3rd and 4th grade so that there are less students per teacher. And after attending the middle school presentation regarding the scheduling, a number of concerns came up regarding math instruction at Valley View. And I noticed that there's a capital reserve fund, $700,000 that's being looked at to being transferred. I think that the district really needs to, put an emphasis on direct instruction with the children, especially math. Especially our test scores are extremely low, and a lot of parents would like to see that increased. And, having more teachers direct with students would really be beneficial to the district and to this, to all the students. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments from the public?
Mary Ann, you're up. You can speak. Okay. I see that Mary Ann D'Amico Candelores has unmuted, but I'm not hearing her. So if there's anyone else from the public who would like to speak, please raise your hand. And Mary Ann, if you're trying to speak, you can raise your hand again.
Okay, I don't see any other hands raised, but if anyone is trying to speak, they can always talk at the end too, just in case there's any technical issues. So I'm going to move on to action items. Jen, can you please move the administrative items?
Yes, I move.
There is a hand raised.
Oh, wait.
There was.
Oh,
It
wait,
just
now it's down.
disappeared. I'm sorry.
Okay, I don't see it raised anymore. So if anybody wants to give any comments, you can always give them at the end as well. If not, please just raise your hand right now and we'll let you talk. Otherwise, we're going to move on. All right, so Jen, can you please move administrative items?
Yes, I move A1, accept school security drill reports. A2, special education extended school year program, summer 2021.
Can we get a second?
Second, Adam.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Barbella,
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Buccarelli,
Yes.
Mrs. Ingracia,
Yes.
Mr. Kraft,
Yes.
Mr. McDonald,
Yes.
Mrs. Murad,
Yes.
Mrs. Postain,
Yes.
Mrs. Sharf,
Yes.
Mrs. Harvey,
Yes.
motion's pass.
Michelle, can you please move personnel items?
Moving the following items. B1, appoint elementary school teacher Bayberry School. B2, change of assignment at Bayberry School. B3, appoint elementary school teacher Bayberry School. B4, rescind appointment of special education leave, a replacement teacher for the 2020-2021 school year. B5, appoint elementary school teacher and media center specialist Bayberry School. B6, approve special education staff for the 21 extended school year program revised. B7, approve special education assistant staff for the 2021 extended school year program revised. B8, approve before and after care staff summer 2021. B9, rescind appointment of child study team member for summer 21 evaluations. B10, rescind appointment of related services for the 21 extended school year program. B11, appoint summer pursuit of excellence staff Bayberry School. B12, appoint district bus driver for ESY 2021 and summer pursuit of excellence. B13, approve summer curriculum writers revised. B14, appoint student information system liaison. B15, appoint manager of repairs work order system. B16, approve district maintenance staff job description. B17, appoint district substitutes. B18, approve summer hours for Valley View counselor. B19, approve maternity leave of absence. B20, accept resignation.
Can we have a second?
Second, Joe.
Any discussion?
Just a question, and I feel like I ask this every time. I don't know why I have like a mental block with these units for curriculum writing. Where we see the high number of units, like 7.5 and up to 20. I honestly am having deja vu. I think I asked you this last time, and my apologies. Those are for new, like I know every, what is it for, a series of years, you're required to do a more comprehensive update. Is that the reason for us seeing 20 units? It's new curriculum rather than just updates? Help me understand the difference.
No, yes, that's correct. These are New Jersey student learning standards that have been updated, and we have to make sure that we comply with those. So that's the reason for several of these revisions: social studies and world languages, and also the music and related arts. The advanced mathematics has to do with the move to the leveled courses, the accelerated courses. The low challenge course has to deal with our not having a procedural manual that's consistent, revised consistent with the expectations of the program curriculum coordinator. We had our phys ed teacher recently go to a professional development conference, and he brought this back to our attention. So we have to update that, and then updating the dyslexia plan. The units are prescribed in the collective bargaining agreement. So it's 3.5 hours per unit, and the rate is about $121.
Yeah, so when we see 20 units that's like 60, 70 hours, and that's the max that one person is tasked with writing new curriculum for, in this case, Spanish and French, spending 70 hours on each subject. Is that?
Yeah, no, not per grade level. It's up to 20 units for grades 5 through 8.
Okay. Thank you.
Can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Barbella,
Yes.
Mr. Buccarelli,
Yes.
Mrs. Ingracia,
Yes.
Mr. Kraft,
Yes.
Mr. McDonald,
Yes.
Mrs. Murad,
Yes.
Mrs. Posehn,
Yes.
Mrs. Sharf,
Yes.
Mrs. Harvey.
Yes.
Motion's passed.
Rich, can you please move operation items?
Yes. I move C1, approve payment of bills. C2, approve transfer of funds. C3, accept financial reports. C4, authorize transfer of current year surplus to reserve. C5, approve placements and contracts for special education out of district students. C6, authorize application submission and accept allocations for individuals with disabilities Education Act, Part B and preschool. C7, CJ Pride membership renewal. C8, approve agreement with Delta T Group Staffing Agency. C9, Systems 3000 contract renewal. C10, authorize the purchase of a truck. C11, reasonable and customary rates for independent educational evaluations. I guess that would be approve that. C12, approve service providers. C13, approve annual renewal of maintenance service agreements. And C14, approve professional travel and related expenses.
Rich, did you want to do anything with C10, the truck? I think you
Yeah, I was
mentioned
waiting
that
for
in
you
your-
to ask for discussion, and I'll discuss now.
Oh, wait, let's get a second first. Is there a second?
Second, I move to table C10 temporarily while we discuss with the council.
Yeah, so thank you for that, Kevin. I think we all, or some of us, got an email again from a member of the council, I think, who had some views on equipment, and given the connections, the deep connections we're forming with the town to both, I think to both bodies' credits, we are having, shared services discussions, et cetera. And if there's views on what type of truck to buy with what capabilities, I think we should table this and listen to that input and discuss it at the operations committee with our chief custodian and the administration. So, and it's not an emergency. Okay. Also, though, I would like to amend C4, which provides for putting excess funds into both maintenance and capital reserves. We expect that the excess may be approximately $800,000 this year. We do not yet know what the exact number is, and that will only occur upon an audit of the annual audit that we have. We as an operations committee also do not know why we have this excess, right? So it was an unusual year. Budgeting was a challenge. I think the prevailing thought was COVID was going to cost us more. I think it did in certain areas, but it ended up costing us less in certain other areas. And the dynamic, or the rule and the process for reserves is that when we make a resolution, we can set a maximum amount, but you can't exceed the maximum amount. You can put in less. My concern with setting a maximum amount, which approximates what we think the excess will be, is that if the excess is in excess of what we thought, we will not be able to use that money. So what I would propose is that we raise the limits that just for a safety factor, out of an abundance of caution, give us some cushion in case the excess comes in higher than we anticipate now, that we raise the the capital reserve maximum to $1 million and the maintenance reserve maximum to $500,000, $500,000. Not saying at all that we're going to use those numbers, but just giving us the flexibility to allocate whatever excess reserve we have in accordance with those higher numbers in case we have more than we expect. And I just want to make a comment just so the public understands how school finance works. And I've been associated with finance in the private sector for many, many decades. It's not the same. We cannot use any of these excess funds for operations. So I know there was a public comment earlier about we should have more third grade teachers. We cannot use these funds, if the curriculum committee and the board were to vote on that, to address that issue. That would have to be addressed in next year's budgeting process. Now, being informed as we are of an excess this year, we would consider it during the budgeting process next year. So I just wanted to clarify that none of what we're doing now with respect to excess and putting them in two separate reserve accounts, both capital and maintenance, would affect any of our operation expenses for next year. Is that correct, Mr. Pepe?
Yes, the money, that's correct. It would have to go through the budget process. And one thing I'd add with regards to an excess that we have, that's a one-time fortunate situation based on things we did not foresee this year. Adding a teacher to the budget is an ongoing every year. And so if that excess didn't exist next year, we would be at a deficit in the following budget. So I'm not saying that it's a bad idea to add staff. We obviously want to make sure we're providing the best education and have the right number of staff. But from a budget perspective, we have to find a way to do that so that it can be repeated ongoing.
Yeah, my only point was when we get the final numbers in and we see where we were over and where we were under, we can make judgments about next year with respect to where we should allocate our budget.
That's correct. And anything from $0 up to the maximum that the board approves tonight can be transferred into those two reserve accounts.
So to summarize, table C10 and amend C4 to increase the limits up to $1 million for capital reserve and up to $500,000 for maintenance reserve are the two proposals I make. Actually, Mr. McDonald made a motion to table C10, and then I'm making a motion to amend C4.
I believe for rules of order, we do have to finish one of them first. So we'll have to finish Mr. McDonald's and then we can bring back up the C10. So we
I'll
need
second Mr. McDonald's motion.
I think we don't table it though. We just have to remove it.
It's withdrawal, motion to withdraw, but it's the same diff.
I'll second Jessica's motion.
Any discussion?
Mrs. Harvey, do you mind if I share?
I'm sorry. I don't know who said that.
Rich Pepe.
Okay, go ahead. Sure. I'm sorry.
I think a board member said something also. I didn't want to cut them off.
I just said great idea.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to let the board know that with regard to the truck purchase that we received that email this afternoon. I did have a conversation. Normally I would have briefed the board about something like this. However, this happened just this afternoon. I did have a conversation with Mr. Walker about the points that were raised in the email. And obviously this is something we're going to have some conversation about. So he did have some counterpoints to them. But also just from a finance perspective, the money for this truck was money that we found excess in this year's budget. So if it's not approved tonight, we would have to then find money in next year's budget if we decided to purchase it next year, just so you're aware of that.
Okay, so could we make a motion, withdraw that motion or amend it to buy a truck on specifications and, you know, that are agreed to by the administration in an amount not to exceed $50,000 or something like that?
Do we have to qualify it? If we just agree to have the ability to purchase the truck, that doesn't preclude us from not purchasing the truck, correct?
I think.
Question, Mr. Pepe, is how specific does it have to be?
Right.
What, and if we want to get into it, it's just that we were going to buy a Ford F-250. A council member with a lot of experience says we should buy a 350 and a different type of a plow. So it may cost more, or I mean, we may not do it, but we haven't had a chance to discuss it as an operations committee.
Right.
So-
I do. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I just asked, the question is how specific does the resolution have to be?
So I do believe that it would be okay if the board modified the resolution to remove the specific truck or to say a truck comparable. The only issue then would be that we wouldn't have an opportunity to discuss it in committee prior to June 30th. So I still wouldn't be able to create the purchase order this year, which is fine. I just want to make sure that everyone's aware of the process.
Well, I would leave it up to the administration to talk to the town and come up with what they think is the best purchase. I'm perfectly willing, within the range of a Ford F-250 and a Ford F-350, to put that decision in your hands after reading the emails.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I just have a question, and sorry, Mr. Pepe, I'm losing the thread a little bit. Irrespective of the truck, that's irrelevant. What's the difference between approving it tonight to allow for it in this year's budget versus next year's budget? Is there something problematic about moving it into next year's budget? Like, I'm trying to understand that aspect.
Any money that's not encumbered by June 30th this year automatically goes back into the fund balance.
Right.
So it's not part of next year's budget because we didn't budget for that.
Right. Agreed. So if I understand correctly, we want to purchase it or approve it before June 30th for this year's budget.
If we're going to use this year's budget, it would have to be approved before June.
Right. And if we haven't budgeted it for next year, then I think we want to use this year's budget for it, correct? It sounds that way.
It would make my life easier, but it's not absolutely necessary. You know, that's up to the board whether you'd like.
Yeah, I don't want to. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I don't want to cut off our nose to spite our face because of board meetings. Let's do what we need to do to get it in this year's budget, irrespective of the specificity of the truck. I don't think we need to get specific. Let's just approve it now if we can, or I don't know what the other options are before June 30th. It's in 6 days.
I think Rich's point addressed that a little, Joe, that in similar ways that we've done on other things, you know, up to, you know, put a cap on the number.
Sure.
These boards
If that's
do,
the way, yeah.
Fiduciary responsibility to, you know, if the truck costs 200,000 and we've approved just a truck, you know, so it's to prevent it, the rules are to prevent that. So if we put a cap, I think that was a good suggestion from Rich.
Sure. So can we put a cap on it now?
Yeah, can we put a cap of 55,000, thinking that we're going to spend a lot less? I think the truck we were going to buy was right around $40,000. And I think that the email said it might be a $10,000 or $11,000 additional for additional capabilities that he thinks.
Rick, so Rick, But also, we got to think about the plow and all the whatever. So should we just, again, not to be a dollar late and a day short, should we just make it higher to, if even, we don't have to spend up to that. I mean, we don't have to spend over. So why don't we make it 70 or something where we're comfortable, where we know we won't go over?
Yeah, Mr. Pepe, what was the total amount? Am I mixing up the list price of the truck with the,
No, you're
add-on
right, Rich. You're right, Rich. It was 39.5 and that included the, all the options.
including the plow?
Plow.
Yes.
Okay,
The plow alone is like 5,500, I think. So the plows are expensive.
It doesn't, and does it include tax and all of the fees and everything else?
Yes.
It doesn't say taxes and fees. It has a base price of 24,672, and then with the options, it has a budget total of 39,501.50.
My 2 cents is, listen, I wouldn't fool around with this. My 2 cents is round it to a higher number, 45, 50, just to be safe. You don't have to spend the money. Obviously, we wouldn't spend the money. We wouldn't be frivolous with it, but just give yourself some cushion. That's all, my opinion.
yeah, and I think your initial reaction was probably better, like it should be higher, so maybe we make it like 60 and then just spend less if,
Yeah, because then if again, it's based upon finite information, the particular truck, what happens if you change the truck, you want something slightly different. I mean, I would give ourselves some room.
So Kevin has a motion on the table, though.
I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion to amend C10 to take out the specific model of the truck and accessories and put in to buy a truck with capabilities satisfactory to the administration and in consultation, with outside folks, in an amount not to exceed $60,000.
I second.
If I could just ask one question, so we're dotting all our i's and crossing all of our t's. I mean, it's the 24th. Is this feasible because we have to pay for it by June 30th, right, Rich, Pepe?
No, we don't have to pay for it. We have to print the purchase order. So I would have to have a meeting with the town council member and Mr. Alexis and Mr. Walker, and we would have to determine what our best choice is, and then I'd have to put the purchase order.
Okay.
Okay, so Rich, I just want to make sure your motion is altering C10 and C4, correct?
I don't know if we're doing them both at the same time.
I think we
Let's
need to handle
kinda-
them separately.
I'm sorry, Rich, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry, I think we need to handle them separately. We need to have one motion to amend one because you have to talk about the wording, and then we'll do a second motion to amend the other one.
Okay, so we just had a discussion, I guess, unless there's any more about C10, and if not, then we can go to a roll call.
Okay, to be, just make sure we're clear, right now we're voting to amend the motion. We're not voting yes or no on the motion. So this is yes or no to amend as recommended. So to amend motion C10. Just making myself a note. Mr. Barbella,
Yes.
Mr. Buccarelli,
Yes.
Mrs. Ingracia,
Yes.
Mr. Kraft,
Yes.
Mr. McDonald,
Yes.
Mrs. Murad,
Yes.
Mrs. Posehn,
Yes.
Mrs. Scharf. I can't hear you, Mrs. Scharf.
You gotta say it again.
Yes.
Thank you. Mrs. Harvey?
Yes.
Okay, so the motion has been amended. When we're ready to vote on the motions, we'll be voting on that one as amended.
Oh, no, aren't we voting now to amend C4 and then we'll vote for the whole thing, right? I made a motion to amend C4 to increase the maximum amount we can contribute to the capital fund to $1 million and the maximum amount we can contribute to the maintenance fund to $500,000.
I
Is
second.
there a second? Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Okay, once again, we're voting to amend, not on the motion itself. Mr. Barbella,
Yes.
Mr. Buccarelli,
Yes.
Mrs. Ingracia,
Yes.
Mr. Kraft,
Yes.
Mr. McDonald,
Yes.
Mrs. Murad,
Yes.
Mrs. Posehn,
Yes.
Mrs. Sharf,
Yes.
Mrs. Harvey.
Yes.
Okay, the motion has been amended. We now have two amended motions.
Now we have a vote on all the motions, right?
Yes. Is there any I know we had a motion and then there was a second already, Rich. So is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Okay, we're voting to approve motion C1 through C14 with C4 and C10 as amended. Mr. Barbella,
Yes.
Mr. Buccarelli,
Yes.
Mrs. Ingracia,
Yes.
Mr. Kraft,
Yes.
Mr. McDonald,
Yes.
Mrs. Murad,
Yes.
Mrs. Posehn,
Yes.
Mrs. Sharf,
Yes.
Mrs. Harvey.
Yes.
Okay, motion's passed.
Okay, there's nothing under curriculum or policy. Is there any board business to discuss? Okay, comments from the public, please remember to state your name and address. And this is for any item. Okay, I don't see any hands raised. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you for joining us this evening. This meeting is adjourned.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Good
care, everybody.
night.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.